U221, I have got my golf partner. I made him adopt me as his little brother. He's my neighbor. He's my friend. And if you know anything about Central High School, oh my goodness, was he the rock star of Central High School. And what he impacted so many kids for so long. It is an honor and a pleasure to have Coach Chuck Kochenberger today. Give it up with the whoop 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 whoop. Okay, Mr. Chuck Kochenberger, thank you so much for joining our class today.
Happy to be here.
Oh man, it's so good. I can't tell you how excited I am because well, we've been friends a long time, and I've looked up to you for so long. And just tell us a little bit about maybe in your. What made you decide to be a teacher?
Well, I'm a people person, and I love kids, and I thought this would be a good profession to go into. And I love coaching. I played basketball in college, and I wanted to pursue that. And I thought it was a good combination. It's kind of funny. I really wasn't pushing to become a teacher at first, and I kind of was recruited for the coaching job, and it just fell into my lap, and so I fell in love with teaching and coaching, and it's been great.
Hey, Mr. Kochenberger, did you have a favorite teacher that when you were a kid say, he was really good, or she was really good, I want to be one of them? Tell us about a teacher or two that you really liked and they inspired you.
Yeah, well, I had a biology teacher at South High School named Kenny Price, and he was just the coolest guy. You could just relate to him, and he was awesome. He was fun to be around. And the other one, of course, would be my basketball coach, Chuck DePietro, who we spent a lot of time together in the gym, got to know each other well, and he helped me through a lot of things. He was awesome.
And so you're a huge basketball name in this town as a coach and a player. So you played basketball where?
I played at South High School, then I had a scholarship to UNC, and then I went there for about a half a year, then I had a scholarship at CSU Pueblo, so I transferred. Fortunately, I got my education paid for by playing basketball.
Wow, that's really cool. Do you have a favorite basketball memory from either high school or college?
Yeah, kind of. I had one in college. I just became eligible, and we went to the College of Santa Fe to play, and we were pretty good. We ended up 4th in the nation that year. So we were expected to win every game, and I didn't think I was going to play, and 2 guys got fouled out. I got in the game with about a minute to go in the game. My uncle shows up. He's mayor of Santa Fe. He thinks I'm playing the whole game. He doesn't know that I just got in the game. Anyway, I got fouled. I made a shot to go ahead and win the game. And he thought, oh, what a hero. Next day, he found out I only scored 1 point. A point to win the game.
Oh, that's great. Hey, so Chuck, you're going to school, playing basketball. And so obviously you got in the teaching program.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that teaching program, the ups and the downs of your struggles to become a teacher and get that license while you were at college.
Right. Well, the first question you got to answer, do you love working with kids? And do you want to try to make a difference? And if you say yes, this could be the greatest job in the world. But if you go on it for any other reason, it's not the best job in the world. But the classes were great. It got you, thinking about what you want to do in life, But when you did your student teaching, that was when it was on-the-job training. That's when you really knew if you're going to be a teacher or not.
So you got through the program and you're a student teacher. Where at?
At South High School, which was unusual because normally you couldn't student teach at the high school you graduated from. But the coach there wanted me for coaching, and somehow they persuaded the teachers at the college to let me go.
Well, and what was that like? Do you ever have a great memory and maybe not such a great memory student teaching?
I was my first day of student teaching. I go into the classroom, it was a history class, and the teacher introduced me. He said, this is Mr. Kochenberger, he's going to be a student teacher. Mr. Kochenberger, here's the grade book, and she walks out. She walks out. I was there for 15 minutes, didn't know anything. I didn't know what to, I started talking, I said, well, what are you guys studying right now? And they said, somebody said Civil War, so I just started talking about it. But she just let me go, and it was a rude awakening.
Is there a kid you remember or something that just was a great memory from student teaching?
Oh yeah. I had, a number of kids that, sometimes if you just listen and maybe you're not even saying anything, and they say, "Oh, Mr. Koch, you helped me so much," but actually I was just there to listen. And sometimes they have nobody, and sometimes you're just there and you care. It's a big thing for them.
That's you, Mr. Kochenberger, always caring, always caring. So tell us, you got your license.
Right.
And how did you get hired on with District 60?
Again, I was hired before I was even graduated, because actually they wanted me for coaching. And I really wanted to coach, but I fell in love with the teaching too. But it was a very rewarding job. I've had one student came back and he was such a pain, and I thought, oh, this kid's not going to do. Anyway, he ended up going off to college with a scholarship in basketball. He sent me a Father's Day gift saying, "Thank you for everything. You were more of a father to me." That really hits home, and that really makes it all worthwhile.
Well, do you remember you're signing your first contract, and everybody always wants to know, it's every question, how much was your contract for?
Yeah.
How much was your first paycheck?
Yeah, this was unbelievable. It was $8,400, and I was coaching football and basketball. $8,400, and I thought I was the richest guy in the world. My wife was teaching too, which was a nice combination, because we both had salaries coming in. We both had vacations the same time, and that was nice. But $8,400 wasn't going to make you J. Paul Getty or anybody rich.
Okay, so you get paid once a month. You remember how much your first paycheck was for?
No, I really don't. That was pretty much honey here.
Now, did you have struggles your first year, or do you remember?
Yeah, it was, because I was 22, and there's 18-year-old kids in there that I knew, and I had to distance myself from that. In fact, one teacher said, "Hey, I couldn't tell you from a student," so I started wearing a tie every day, just so they knew that I was a teacher.
And you look young.
Yeah,
all
right.
These years later, you really do.
Well, teaching keeps you young. You're around kids all the time, and young people, you stay young.
That's good. Hey, did you ever want to do anything else besides teaching?
Well, yeah, I was going to get in the business world, but then this fell, it just fell in my lap, and I said, let's try this, and it turned out great.
So what advice, let's just say, what advice would you give these new teachers doing right now to get them ready to be a teacher?
Well, I mean, it's tough right now, there's no doubt about it. But you got to give it a chance, give it some time, and like I said, it's a very rewarding. It could be the best job in the world to help kids. They come back and talk to you about things, how you helped in a way you didn't even know you did that. I had one kid once living out on the reservoir in a tent. He had nobody. So I went to the counselor, we got him hooked up with somebody else, they got him in some help, and next thing you know, we got him in the service, and he went to the service for 4 years, which he had nothing, came back, and we talked, he thanked me, it was just beautiful, it was nice.
Wow,
He had nobody though.
Okay, so you're coaching. So some of us, we want to be a coach.
Sure.
Could you talk a little bit about the ups and downs of the coaching world?
Sure. Coaching for me was awesome. I had a blast. But it does take time away from your family. I had 2 young kids, so that was kind of tough. But it was very rewarding, and it's a relationship. You mold the team. You get these kids and you mold the team to come out better. I remember when I got the job, they said, what do you expect? And I said, be #1 team in the state in 3 years. They said, well, that's pretty bold. Well, in 3 years, we were rated the #1 team in the state. So I think you set those goals high, and you try to achieve those goals.
Now, so you coach football, basketball, and tennis.
Right.
So out of those 3, what did you enjoy the most, really?
Well, basketball, because that's where I came from. That's where I played in high school, played in college, and that's where I got a scholarship. But now to this day, I still play tennis. So that was, that's a good life sport to have.
So tennis was in the spring, football was in the fall, basketball during the winter.
Yeah.
Talk to us about tennis. What was that?
Well, this is how it was approached. The athletic director came to me and said, "Hey, listen, we have nobody to coach tennis. We're going to have a teacher, a female teacher, just go out there and stand." I go, "No, I'll do that." So I took the job. I said, just for a year or two. I did it for 10 years. It's one of those things when you start teaching, you do everything. I mean, I was asked to do the student council just 1 year. I did that 8 years. Lunchroom duty, 1 year. I did that like 12 years. So but you're there. You might as well help kids, and why not?
Well, okay, what about football? Talk to us about football.
Football, I was the freshman football coach. It was fun, but it wasn't my forte. But you know, there's a lot of good people in there and good coaches I met and learned a lot of lessons from them. It was a good experience.
Wow. So coach, what did they call you? Did they call you coach at school or?
Mr. K, Mr. Coke, Coach.
Coach, all of them.
Not really Mr. Kochenberger, that's too long. Usually it was Mr. Coke. That was pretty much it.
Now, you taught all your career at Central High School?
Right.
Talk to us about Central and why you loved it so much.
Okay. It was a melting pot of students. It was awesome. You'd see all kinds of different people together, eating together. It was great. And I mean, I could go to the counselors and say, hey, this guy, you know, he's not going to graduate because he didn't have a PE credit. And he didn't have, but you know what? He was on my JV a while back, so that's a credit. Can't you get a credit for being on? You can get a credit. So anyway, this guy graduated. That wouldn't have, and I just found out about that actually about 6 months ago. He lives in Fort Collins, and this is 20-some years ago. And he sent me a picture of us together. And it was awesome. He goes, you saved me from graduating. I had people coming out of state to watch my graduate, and I wasn't going to graduate until we figured out how to get this graduation done.
Wow, that's really
it was pretty cool.
Let's talk about lunch duty. Some people, you got paid for lunch duty.
Yeah, it was like a period. Yeah, it was like a classroom.
Talk to us about this duty being on lunch patrol.
It was something. You know, I was an easy mark. Meaning, if they needed lunch money, they came to see me. I didn't care. You know, I gave money away to kids. But I was on one side, another teacher on the other, and it usually was pretty good. You know, I was a couple fights, I had to jump in, break up, but you know, overall it was good.
Okay, Mr. Kochenberger, I know you didn't have too many of these, but what was your worst day teaching?
My worst day teaching. Oh, I got news when I went to school that one of my students, they were at a party, he got in a fight. He went outside, and next thing you know, he got shot and killed. Parents called me. They asked me if I'd talk at the funeral, and it was rough. It was rough. This is an 18-year-old kid, senior, going to graduate. That was definitely probably the lowest I've ever had.
Oh man,
it was a tough deal.
That is rough.
Yeah.
But let's talk about every day. Now that is really tough, Coach.
Yeah.
Every day though, just about every day you're happy.
Yes, I mean I am. I'm a people person. I believe half glass full, you know, and smile and be kind to people. I think the word kind is you can't use it enough.
And what did you teach?
I taught. I was in the social studies department. Taught history and geography, but then they wanted psychology in the high school, and they didn't have anybody teach it. So they looked at my resume and they saw I had a minor in psychology. So they asked me to start a psychology program, which was just a general psychology course. You know, that wasn't honors or anything. So basically, it was to help kids about drug addiction, alcoholism, and then you throw in a little thing about neuroses, psychoses, a few of that stuff, schizophrenia. But it got pretty popular. Next thing you know, I had 5 classes full of psychology students.
Hey, did you ever have an attendance problem? You know, getting kids into the class?
No, not really. Not really. In fact, it's funny. I had this one mother come to me and say, "Why? I got my report card, and he has 1 day absent years, and he's got 20 and 1, 30 and why? I don't know. But he liked it. I liked the kid, and he liked coming to class. That's all."
Do you have any real funny stories about any students?
Yeah, I kind of do. Well, one, I had a student, and the counselor called me in, said, I think there's a mistake on your report card thing. He has an A in your class, and he's got 5 Fs on the other classes and an A in yours. I go, well, you better talk to the other teachers. He's not doing bad. And he did great. And after that, after he started getting a little, you know, if a guy thinks he's going to fail, you know, he's going to fail. If you throw out a nice character for him, he does good, and he sees some success, I believe success breeds success. And sure enough, the next thing I know, the next year, he actually made the honor roll.
Wow.
So that was cool.
Hey, what's your favorite thing about being a teacher?
Relationships with the kids. I loved a lot of kids. I mean, they're great. I mean, I just fell in love with just, some of them need somebody, and you know, sometimes you're just there to help them, but it's the personal relationships where later on you'll see them and say, Coach, hey, thank you, or nah, you helped me, or whatever. But it was good for me too. I mean, it was great for me too. They give a lot back to me.
Well, that's really good. Do you have something that was just your very favorite part about being a teacher? What was the thing you liked the most?
That's a tough one. You know, the summers were kind of nice, but you weren't making that much money. So in the summer, every summer, even though you're off, they say, oh, 3 best things of teaching, June, July, and August. That's what the joke was. But no, I always had to work somewhere. I always had to go, work somewhere else to make money, because you didn't make that much at the time. So
here's a question that I think was really interesting. And you're not the only teacher that's been asked this question that is taught in District 60. What do you think is District 60's problems?
District 60 problems. Well, the problem is and I say, when I started out teaching, most of the kids had a mom and dad around. When I got out, a lot of these kids had nobody around. They had maybe a grandparent, something like that. So our society has changed, and that's tough for these kids when they don't have somebody to tell them, to nurture them and help them through things. So that was the real change from when I started teaching until when they end.
Yeah, Coach, I know you always told me that you really taught kids how to be a success in class, and you've given a lot of A's, and I know that's how I am too. I still think I've given more A's in my career than you have.
No doubt about
it. But talk to us about how you teach a kid to be a success.
Yeah. Well, as I said, first I think you got to get to know the kids. I mean, I greeted them at the door when they came in. I shook their hands when they left. And, one kid told me, because, hey, Mr. Cook, that's the only handshake I get all day. So, that was pretty special. But I think you got to get to know the kids better. And then you can kind of, some kids you can get on, some kids you can't get on. And you kind of got to get to know them better.
You got a story I just love. It's about he was a pretty prominent guy in our community. And he was in your class. Can you tell that story?
Yeah, it was a study hall in the cafeteria. There was 2 coaches, one on one end, one on, and I was on the other. And he comes up to me, great kid, but ornery as heck. Comes up to me and says, "Mr. Koch, I need to go to the restroom." I said, "No, I'm not letting you go. You'll never come back. I know you." He goes, "No, Mr. Koch, I need to go to the restroom. I'll be right back." I go, "You're not going to go run around trying to chase some girl ask her for a date?" "No, Mr. Koch, I'll be right back." So he never comes back. Next day, he never comes back. It's 2 weeks later, and I see him in the hall. I chase him down in the hall. I'm running after my grab. I go, "Hey, where have you been?" He goes, "Mr. Koch, I really had to go." I go, "For 2 weeks?"
That's a great story. So now you've taught for almost 30 years at one school, Central High School, that you love so dearly. And so now your career is coming to an end. Talk and walk us through those feelings you have spending your entire adult life from 22 on. Now it's time to close the chapter to your teaching at the Central High. Talk through those emotions and what you were feeling.
Yeah, it was very emotional because both my kids went there, and it was kind of surreal because it's over. You start a new life. You're doing other things, and I'm not a guy to sit around. I'm active. So I was never bored. He said, "Are you going to be bored?" No, I'm never going to be bored. I go skiing, I go fly fishing, I go golf, tennis, biking. I'm never going to be bored. But it was a transition, But no, I was ready to go when I retired, and I don't regret one bit of it. And we have a great retirement. If you get into teaching, I mean, you don't get paid that much, but the back end of it, the PERA, I've talked to a lot of financial people. They say this could be one of the best, if not the best, retirement plan in the state of Colorado.
Wow, that's amazing. Mr. Kochenberger from my class, PCC EDU 221, future teachers. This is Mr. Kochenberger, and he doesn't like me to pat him on the back, but I will. If anybody went to Central High School, you can ask your parents that had him. He's just this outstanding guy with tremendous compassion, willing to give you a couple bucks for lunch, willing to give you a handshake or a hug, a smile filled with joy. And Mr. Kochenberger, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, the community of Pueblo, and especially Central High School, we are so much better because you are there and you are here. So thank you very much, Chuck.
Well, thank you, Tim, and you're doing a great job. And we need good teachers. We need young, good teachers. And it's a great profession to go into, and I hope you guys continue with that. And God bless you.